Right, hello again friends, welcome back to the Gaskets Head. I'm just going to be doing a quick one on how to change the interior cabin filter or pollen filter in the early Ford Focus C-Max and the later facelift one. And they are a bit tricky, but they're not too difficult. I'll show you how to do it and where they are. So to access it, what we need to do is we need to get down and get under the glove box area here. Now there should be a little sort of carpet type trim panel here which will have some yellow clips on it, but it was missing on mine and I've never bothered to replace it at about 40 quid for a brand new one. So to access it, you would just there's two little sort of plastic clips that you just press in and pull down, and you just pull it out, move it out the way. Then what we need to do, and I'm just going to try and set you down so you can see this. Let's get you all set up. So you can see the yellow clip over here, and there's another one somewhere, and that's where those clips hold the little trim up. What we need to do next is we need to drop the little gem unit or the fuse box just down and then out of the way, because there's a bracket that we need to remove. So to do that, there's a couple of little tab clips, and you just turn them sort of half a turn and they drop down, and there's another one just over here somewhere which I can't see. There it is. And then that just drops the panel like so. I'll just put you in a bit of a better position so I don't knock you. Without trying to knock the camera over too many times, I've got you in a good spot now. So what we need to do is this fuse box, it sits on a little metal bracket, and basically once you've released it and dropped it down, you can pull it out and just lift it up, and it should come out. Obviously the camera is in the way where my head would usually be, so I'm struggling to see that a bit. And there we go, that's out. So as you can see at the back here, you just make it out, there's two nuts, one just about there and one there just at the back. They're 13mm and they just hold the bracket on. So what we need to do is just take them off. It shouldn't be on too tight. Just run them off by hand. If you drop them, don't worry, because they'll just fall down the footwell in front of the seat. Have to get a hand in there, and then we'll just get the other one. I apologise if you can't see too well, but it's difficult for you, it's difficult for me. So we'll just move them out of the way so we don't lose them. And then what we can do now is we can, carefully, and I can't see this, pull off this metal bracket. There we go. So that's the metal bracket. We're just going to put that out of the way. Now from new, there's a couple of wiring looms at the back here. I think there's definitely one and maybe two where they are cable tied to the bulkhead. You can get away with doing this without moving them, but I'll be honest with you, just snip that little cable tie. It's really not that important, and you can always put it back if you really want to. So what we need to do now is we've got a little bit of access to the panel. I'll just try and get you in. It's a bit of a tight spot this, so you can just make out there, just at the back here is the panel for the filter. You can see one of the screws on it there. There's 7mm, and there should be, I think, 4, but I think there's 1 or 2 missing on mine. So I'll just pop you back there for a minute. I'll see if I can sort of get you in. You can't see all of them. There's one at the bottom which is just being covered, just there, one there, and I think there's a third one at the top, but I'm pretty sure it's missing on mine. So don't be alarmed if you find one. I'll just try and get you set up where I'm not going to knock you. It helps to have a little flexi head ratchet here or something, as it's quite a tight squeeze. So I'll probably move you out of the way for a minute because the camera's just getting in my way. We'll get these off and then we'll get to taking the filter out. Okay, so now we've removed those screws. The camera's just getting in my way of where I needed to be because they are a bit fiddly. As I say, one was missing right at the top. Once that's done, this panel here literally just pops off. Sort of slides on and locks on. So we'll take that out. And there we go, that's the panel. What I would say is move it out of the way, don't leave it on the floor, because I have done this once before. I've leant on it and you can imagine what's happened. So I had to pay for that. And as you can see, the filter's there now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and pull it out. It is easier to take out than it is to put in. But I can just get the finger on one of the bits of filtration. Should be able to just get it started. Obviously I cannot see anything here of what's going on. So there it is. So I'll just move you out of the way a second so I can get in there. There we go. And what we're going to have to do is just pull the fuse box out of the way slightly. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could remove all the plugs and completely move it out of the way, but probably a bit unnecessary. And what we're going to do is just squeeze, pull it out, and there we go. And it should. Down, it's just caught a little bit at the back there. Just make sure you're not pulling on any of the wires or anything. You don't want to cause any major aggro for the sake of a filter. And there we go, that's it out. So just remember the direction of the airflow. As you can see, that's pointing in. So the basic gist is the air comes in from outside of the vehicle, goes down through like a pipe or a channel, and it into the filter, which then goes into the blower motor, and then goes out the vents to you. So let's have a look at the new one. Right, we've got the old one out now, so I'm just going to show you that. So this is the old one, and which side is it on? It's not that dirty, this one. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of dirt in that. So I choose to use Eufy for mine because they're a great filter brand, and the other reason is the genuine Ford ones, although you know Ford don't make them themselves, somebody makes them for them, they're just too thick. The sidewalls are too thick, too rigid, as is the filtration material, and it makes them really difficult to put in because they're so stiff, and you really need to sort of flex these up as you fit them because access is so poor. In most situations where it's really easy, it's not a problem, but on this particular model and a couple of other Fords, it's the same story. It's really tricky to sort of squeeze them in. So that's why I choose the Eufy ones. So I'm going to do a aircon sanitizer or aircon bomb, whatever you want to call it, as well, which I'll do in a minute. But we're going to get this one in, and hopefully I'll show you how to squeeze that in there. Right, just going to get the new filter in. Just make a note of the direction arrows for the airflow. Sorry if you can't make that out. So that's obviously going to be pointing towards us, which is into the car. And you can actually see on the Eufy ones, the darker, more charcoal finish is on one side, and they have like another bit of membrane on the back which is lighter in colour. So this is the tricky bit now. So what we're going to have to do is basically have to squeeze it in best as we can because they're so fiddly, because this fuse box is in the way. So what I'm going to do first is tuck it up behind the fuse box and get it sort of lined up, ready to go. There we go, get it up ready. And what I'm going to do now is, I won't be able to film it because the camera's going to be in the way, but basically we're just going to get it started into the housing, and basically we're just going to sort of squeeze and wriggle it in. So I'll get that done now. Right, that went in really easily, but unfortunately the camera was in the way. I really did want to show you that getting put in. So what we need to do now is we need to put the little blanking cap on. So this is all it is. You can see you've got the bottom down here in the top, and there's like a lip just here, and that basically sort of hooks in. Once that's in, it just stays in place. So I'll just try and do that on camera so you can see. And that really is that simple. Then obviously I'm missing a screw, but there's one right at the top which mine is missing, and I'll just get the middle one in and see it. So just get that one in by hand. I'll just get the bottom one in by hand as well. Just be careful not to try and put too much pressure on some of the wires. Like I say, you don't want to cause any issues for the sake of a filter. Come on, in you go. There we go, that's that one. So try and get the bottom one nipped up, and then I'll get the top one nipped up afterwards. Having a cordless ratchet would make life a lot easier here. Okay, that's that one almost in, so I'll just move the camera out of the way for a second. I'll put that back properly, and I'll show you how to hook the gem user, the fuse box, back up. Right, I'm going to get the bracket back in now. So what we do with that, we just want to basically tuck it around the back, and you'll find there's just two studs in the bulkhead, so that's one side in. Probably drops off one of them. Usually when you've found one of them, the other one's not so difficult to find. And there we go, I think that's on. Yes, that's on. So what we're going to do now is just get an extension, new socket. We're going to find the first one. Just run it on by hand. They're not, you don't need to do them too tight. That's one on. Let's get the second one on. Probably just a little bit hidden there. There we go. And then once that's done, let's get your ratchet. Just needs nipping up. No more than that. And that is on. So now, as you can see, there's little tabs or ears on the side, and they sit within the little U-shaped piece. And what we do is just lift it up, and over. Just get the other side in right. There we go. And then pops back over the back of it. And from there, just make sure none of your cables are trapped or anything like that. Make sure they're all out the way. Get it back up, and you should be able to turn your little locking tabs in. Or maybe not. Ah, there we go. Just needed to push it up, and that's it in. So the only thing you would do now is put your little trim panel back if you've got it, but mine's long. It was probably long gone before I even owned a car, to be honest. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to run the aircon sanitizer and call it a day. Right, I'm just going to do the aircon sanitizer now. So what you need to do first is fire the engine up, and then we need to put the aircon on, and put it on full blast as well. And then also make sure that you're going to put recirculate on. Just give it a few minutes to get cold and we'll go around the other side. Right, I'm going to use the sanitizer now, so just make sure all your vents are on as well, as they are on mine, so everything's open. So what we do is, it's like a one-shot can, so once you press this, it's going to go off. So do read the instructions, some are slightly different depending on the brand, but I always do them the same way. And just pop them in the passenger footwell, and make sure all your windows are closed. Now that the aircon's running cold, it's been on for a couple of minutes, all we're going to do is we're going to press this and then just shut the door and leave it. Basically you're waiting for the can to empty itself. So let's do it now. I'm going to press it, just make sure it's not going onto any trim, close the door, and I just leave the door slightly ajar because some vehicles have like a automatic lock after a certain amount of time and you don't want to lock yourself out. So we're just going to leave that, if we can see it. Where is it gone? So you might be able to just make it out. So we're going to leave that to run itself out for the next sort of 5 or 10 minutes and then we'll come back to it. Right, I'm going to shut it off now, but before we do, I'm just going to pop the windows down. I'm going to shut it off. We'll come round. And there we go. It took about a minute to empty it. So all you need to do now, once you've tidied it up, just wipe down any sort of residue that might have been left on any of the trim. Just leave the windows down for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, just to wear out, because you don't want to get straight in the car right after doing it and get a mouthful of this, because it won't be good for you. And that's it. So the video's been useful for you. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, comment down below and I'll try and get back to you, and thanks for watching.